Hey everyone, this is Dean with DCA Crypto. Got some important news to cover for you guys today, so I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, smash that like button, and let's jump into it. Alright, today's video we're going to cover the markets and see what's going on. There's some important news that's happening today in crypto, in the financial markets in general, so let's jump into it here. So we've seen a little bit of a correction over Bitcoin the past few days. We are down under $2.6 trillion overall total crypto market cap, and Bitcoin, did get down to like 66,000 something yesterday. We had that dip. People are getting upset and worried about their crypto portfolios. Lots of YouTubers out there doing doom and gloom videos, stuff like that. I'm not going to do that because I know where we're headed, and I think we're headed into a big bull run later this year. I think we're going to see some pain in the short term. I've been telling you guys for months that summer is pretty much usually kind of like bloody and just kind of sideways action in the market. Usually not a lot going on in the summertime in crypto. Now, we haven't seen a big correction in the markets because of the Bitcoin ETFs have been kind of pulling everything up this year. We've got to all-time high before the halving, which has never happened before. So it's kind of a strange market, and people are worried about alts, and they think well, maybe there's not going to be a real alt season. Bitcoin's kind of taken all the show and the action away from all these alts, but that's because of the ETF. It's kind of like artificially inflated the Bitcoin price with all the ETF news and all the institutional money coming into Bitcoin. And those investors that are able to get into Bitcoin now and have been buying into Bitcoin now for a while, they don't care about altcoins. They care about Bitcoin. And that's why you're seeing Bitcoin take off, and the altcoins are not keeping up with it currently because retail is not here yet. All the signs are pointing to retail is still not in the market yet. Hopefully they get into the market later this year like they typically do in the past. I'm thinking hopefully around September, October, we'll start picking off and taking off into another bull cycle here. And we might see some bloody days ahead of us. We don't know. This thing could turn around next week and Bitcoin could jump up and make a new all-time high just like that. You guys know that. So yes, we're down on some of our coins right now. If you bought them within the last few months after the big pumps, most of my portfolio is still in the positive or at least break even. I don't really have too many coins that are seriously underwater, maybe 10 or 15% on the ones that are underwater. Nothing too serious, but I know some of you out there have some bigger losses on your portfolio because you bought them at higher prices. If in that case, it's just kind of like you're in a holding pattern and waiting for the market to take off again. It can really suck when that's happening, but there's not much you can do about it. It's just the kind of market phase that we're in right now. So if you take a look at Bitcoin here in the daily, we were testing this 72,000 level here. We've tested this a couple times now, and we got rejected off there. And now with this news about the Fed's going to be doing their FOMC meeting, and they think that it's likely that they're not going to lower interest rates. And so there was this news that's kind of expected today with the FOMC meeting that kind of pushed the price down of Bitcoin down to like, 66,000 here basically. And that's as long as we don't break down below the 66,000 level, then we should be okay. If we break down below this here, we're likely coming back down to that $60,000 range here again. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm thinking more than likely we're going to come up, but we don't know for sure what's going to happen. So this article on CNBC, it says cryptos fall as investors await the Fed decision. Bitcoin dips under 67,000. Crypto slumped on Tuesday as Bitcoin extended its recent slide, and investors await the Federal Reserve's next rate decision. We pretty much know that they're likely not going to lower interest rates, although I'm going to show you here in a minute that some of the senators and that out there are requesting the Fed to start lowering interest rates. So the Fed's going to start getting pressure from the government now, and you're already seeing it start lowering these interest rates. And that's, typically when they do that is when the market takes off again. But there's also news out there that there's also some theories out there that when the Fed pivots and they start lowering interest rates, that's when the stock market has always crashed in the past. So I'm not quite sure how good this is going to be for crypto in the short term if the Fed pivots and starts lowering their interest rates. Because in the past, they've pretty much always crashed the stock market when that happens. It's like they kind of do the opposite. When interest rates are high, they put their money into the stock market, and when interest rates are low, it seems like they pull their money out of the stock market. I'm not sure the reasoning behind that. So the market saw another 56 million in long liquidations on Thursday ahead of a better than expected May jobs report. So the May jobs report was better than expected as well. So that also gave people less hope that the Fed would lower interest rates. So there's kind of a couple different things in here. They're expecting, inflation to not be quite under control yet. We definitely know it's not going to be at that 2% level that the Fed is trying to reach, that it's probably never going to reach. And with the jobs report looking good, that's another reason why they think that they won't lower interest rates, because they're not at risk of more people becoming unemployed due to the higher interest rates. So this article here, it's on warren.senate.gov. It's from Elizabeth Warren, basically saying that they're pushing the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. They're saying basically here that Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren, Jackie Rosen, and John Hickenlooper wrote to the Federal Reserve urging Chair Jerome Powell to cut the federal interest rates from its current two-decade high of 5.5%. This comes as major central banks around the globe have cut rates and are leaning towards lower interest rates, including the European Central Bank, which cut its rates last week from 4% to 3.75%. The letter also raises concern that high interest rates are increasing the cost of housing and insurance and continuing to hurt working Americans as the rates remain unchanged. It says the Fed's decision to keep interest rate high to widen the gap between Europe and U.S. as the lowering interest rates could push the dollar higher, tightening financial conditions, wrote the senators. The Fed's current interest rate policy is also having the opposite effect of its intended effect. It is driving up the housing and auto insurance costs, which are currently the main drivers of the overall inflation rate. It says since March of 2022, the Fed has raised interest rates 11 times, pushing them to their highest levels in over 20 years. Despite calls for rate cuts from many economists and legislators, the Fed has yet to lower interest rates at home, threatening the economy and causing housing and insurance costs to rise. These two factors, combined with the price gouging and corporate greed by big businesses, serve as the main drivers of persistently high costs that continue to harm working families across the country. They're saying the country is already facing a severe housing shortage, and the Fed's refusal to bring down interest rates is exacerbating this shortage and driving higher inflation rates. Lower mortgage rates would encourage more people to sell their homes, which would in turn increase housing supply, decrease prices, ease the cost of renting, and ultimately increase home ownership. And they're saying that basically the insurance rates are higher as well. On the insurance rates, they said the increase in cost of motor vehicle insurance reflects factors including a shortage of mechanics, more severe and frequent car accidents, climate change, leading to more vehicles damaged by extreme weather and more complex cars that are more expensive to repair. None of these factors are mitigated by high interest rates. So she's basically saying here, and they're saying here, that there's no reason to keep the interest rates high if you're trying to lower insurance rates, because it's not going to work. The insurance rates are higher because of other reasons that have nothing to do with the interest rates out there. It's more to do with more expensive repairs for vehicles and more damage to vehicles and stuff like that. I know my insurance on my car went up like 40% this year, which is absolutely ridiculous. And me and my wife haven't had any infractions, no tickets, no accidents, or anything for years. And I don't understand why it went up 40% in 1 year. It's absolutely crazy. But it is what it is. We're getting squeezed on every angle. Your groceries gone up. Gas is, it's gone up, but it's come down a little bit because they're, and that's because they're selling off our reserves, not because they're producing more oil. So they're trying to put a Band-Aid on that problem when they really need to look at other solutions besides sell off our oil reserves that take decades to fill up. So those are supposed to be for emergencies only. But everything out there is higher in price right now. Vehicles are absolutely ridiculously expensive. They're sometimes, in some cases, almost double of what they were 10 years ago, which is absolutely ridiculous. I know, like, trucks especially are like 60 to 80,000 to 100 or more thousand for a truck. Absolutely ridiculous. You could get a truck, 5-10 years ago for $30,000 to $50,000 easily, and now they're way higher than that. I know, like, Toyota Corollas, they used to be like $15,000, less than 10 years ago, and now they're almost $25,000 or more, depending on the Corolla. That was one of the most affordable economy cars, and now, now it's like over $20,000. Absolutely ridiculous. We're getting squeezed on all ends with this, so we'll have to see how the meeting happens today with the Fed, and if they keep interest rates the same or if they lower them. They're expecting them to stay the same. There's a slight possibility they could decide to lower them. If they do, it could have a positive impact on the market, or who knows what will happen. But we just got to hang in there for a few more months. Hopefully we take off into a big bull run later this year like we have in the past. I know things can be painful for some people out there. Some people are losing hope in the markets, and that's typically what happens during these times. And that's why I told you guys months ago, don't expect a bullish summer, because typically crypto is not bullish in the summer, but we're not really that bearish either. We've just been kind of floating between this 60-some thousand and 72,000 range for a while now. We haven't seen any real crashes, okay? So people out there who are upset about their portfolios, just be thankful Bitcoin hasn't crashed down to like $50,000 like it has in the past, because if that happens, your altcoins are really going to be bleeding and in pain a lot if that ever happens, if that does happen for some reason. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's meant to shake you guys out of your portfolios. That's the goal behind it. Right now, I just, my portfolio's down a little bit. I'm not too worried about it. I'm expecting us to take off into a big bull run. If we're not into new all-time highs with Bitcoin by the end of this year, then I'll be worried. But I'm expecting Bitcoin to start breaking new all-time highs, hopefully by September, October this year, possibly later than that. But I would think by September, October, we should be above, the 72,000 level. Some people are predicting Bitcoin to be up to 100,000 or more by the end of the year. There's a lot of people actually predicting that. So we'll see what happens here, but just don't lose hope yet, everyone. I think we're still early in this cycle. Hopefully, we'll cross our fingers and pray that we're early and everything will go well. It's just one of those times in the market where things are kind of uncertain, and, it can be painful for a lot of you out there who are, down on some of your coins right now. It is what it is. We'll hopefully get through this, guys. But we'll have to see what happens with the FOMC meeting today and the CPI data and all that's going on here. And we'll take a look at that and see what's going on with it. I appreciate it, guys. If you hit that subscribe button, if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And we'll see you on the next video.